Tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libas.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want goals.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. My name's Dan Fudge. Are you all right? Yeah. Tonight joining me, I've got Ash, Stevie, and Beth, who's probably going to tell me off at some point in the evening. So without further ado, let's get right into what again is another timeline of terror for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club at S6. We've had meetings, we've had press releases, we've had pages of notes that Steve has written again, so we're actually well informed because I've had a hell of a week. So it's going to be you lot educating me all evening and catching me up. I wanted to reach out and send my thanks to Joe Cran for joining us last week, and thanks to the club for giving us something to talk about throughout the season. We were spinning some ideas around about what we were going to do through the close season and stuff like that. And one of the ideas was to talk about who we need in certain areas, what sort of players we were going to get in, and that type of thing. And in true Wednesday Week fashion, what I did was come up with a theme tune for what we were going to do. We're going to call the episode The Wish List. We still might do it, but I have spent some time on this. So I'm going to play you this, and this is what we're missing out on because Chansiri.
It's the wish list, what a list. A striker who can't miss and a keeper on the piss. Free transfers, loans for days. Gaffer says we've no money, but we'll blag it anyway. Who's your pick? Who's your guy? Stick him on the wish list, we'll tell you all why. Who's your pick? Who's your guy? Stick him on the wish list, we'll tell you all why.
That's what the chairman's costing you, ladies and gents. That's the highlight of the entertainment that we have lined up before everything well to piss and or shit. Ash, how was your weekend? All right, yeah.
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, it was great. I had a date night on Friday night, as we said last week, with
who with?
With Man in the Corner, Stevie there. So we went to go and see Chaz Potatoes in the theatre. It was fantastic, great evening. A few beers and the theatre. Yeah,
that's not too shabby.
Yeah,
what was? Tell me about the play, Stevie. Tell me about what went off. Tell me about what it was, because I don't know if I got the synopsis correct when I spoke about it last week.
It was literally a bit of history, women's history, going back and looking at the development of women's football and how they played when men went to war. And it was sort of a flash forward, flash back sort of situation where the women of sort of today, the Lionesses, were in the Euros in 22, and it kept sort of cutting back to how women's football developed early on in the 20th century. Charlie was absolutely outstanding. Craig's on at the minute. Craig Haywood, who's just put on the screen. Great night. He was there with Ellie, his daughter. So me and Ash caught up, had a couple of beers down at the Head of Steam. Jalapeno chili beer, 7.3%. 7.3%.
Ash, what were you like on Saturday morning?
No, I only had one of them. They'd run out, so I was.
I bet you were demoed, mate. Bet you were demoed.
It was good.
Really good night. Yeah, Simon was there with Ethan as well.
Nice.
And it was just nice seeing like sort of the history of women's football. And there were some pioneers that were in there. And a little shout out to my sister, who had made it up onto one of the pop-up banners with her mate from her time at Sheffield Wednesday that I had no idea was going to be there. So Steph Spence and Lisa Bailey, two very good, sister and a very good friend of mine, were on the list as being pioneers of women's football over the sort of the last few years. So yeah, it was really good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that as a perfect segue to advertise a interview that I've literally just finished not 5 minutes ago with Sheffield Wednesday women's striker Amy Broomhead. That will be going out live at 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. She, bless her, I don't think she's met people like me before. And I feel like I may have scared the bejesus out of her. But she scored something like 40-odd goals the other season in a promotion season for Sheffield Wednesday women. And they managed to finish mid-table this year. And she speaks very measured about what her ambitions are, or what the ambitions are. She speaks very much about us and we, and about the club, which I kind of like. And she's also a Wednesday fan as well, so it's not to be missed. That's on Thursday morning. Beth, it looked like you had a hell of a weekend. What went up in your yard?
Yeah, I'm a bit intellectually hungover from the weekend.
Welcome here. You're all right.
Yeah, I'm in a better state than the post-EFL Awards hangover, though. I think I'm still trying to redeem myself from that. I was at the FSA AGM on Saturday, which was a full-on 9 to 5 of kind of football governance, how we run football, how we might run football in the future, how football is being run now. There was a talk from Martin Henderson, who is currently in charge of the shadow football regulator. I had a talk from Rebecca Welch. I got to do some VAR in, which was very fun. Didn't get a chance to ask her about the Akin for Mayweather penalty at Oxford. She snuck off quickly before I could.
Beth, just in that, my apologies to cut you off. That particular incident has caused a lot of discourse on this show, and oh yeah, I get a lot of grief about that because of my right wing Akin for Mayweather views. Carry on.
Then we did the AGM, we did some voting. I proposed a motion on getting more young people involved in supporters trusts and in football governance, and I had the only motion that passed unanimously, so I'm very proud of myself. The women's group, that was me as an individual. The women's group supported motions on no fault stand down and trade union representation in football, all things that we think are relevant with things that are going on at our club right now and in the past. And then that afternoon, I did a workshop on women's voice in the men's game and sexist chanting. And then afterwards, I drank a lot of beer and killed some brain cells that I'd been developing over the day.
That's better.
You're on the Wednesday.
I had a headache yesterday and a little bit of a headache today, but I'm alive.
There's me. I thought I was all thinking going to the theatre and having beer, but now Beth's changing the football landscape.
Yeah. I'm forgetting all about it from too many Guinnesses.
Here we are, Ash, collecting toiletries and Easter eggs and giving money to charity and giving kids their first foray into Sheffield Wednesday. Beth's changing just the entire game as it stands.
I'm standing up in front of 200 bold men in their 60s and going, you should get some more young people in this room.
Oh, I bet that went well with them, didn't it?
They love me.
I bet it was like an episode of Bloody Newsnight. Get in, get in. Now, Beth, I'm glad you're here. Now, lads and listeners at home, what happened was last weekend I tried to make a point about Clive Betts as you may realise, you may remember, trying to make a point about Clive Betts in the in Parliament making reference to Sheffield Wednesday, and well, there's been an Owls Talk thread. There's been that. That happened, and then more Owls Talk I can deal with, right? I can deal with Owls Talk. It's a lot of people who are quite passionate and stuff like that, and it's not the first time I've caused a stir on there. However, the worst bit of feedback I had was from Beth. So what she did was just call me out on it, right? Absolutely call me out on it, and I am not talking like I genuinely enjoy that, Beth. Like that is brilliant. I am a gobby knobhead. I mean, a lot of people, what they tend to do is just go, yeah, and then move on. You know what I mean? But you went, no, I'm not having this. I'm not having it. So you called me out on it. And so it turns out I was quite ill-educated on Clive Betts and what he was trying to achieve. I think the main point that I was trying to make is, which got fluffed away. And it's very rare that Simon has to close me off as well. If you listen back to it, Simon went, let's just move on. All right, cool. You know what I mean? But I think the point I was trying to make was it wasn't Clive Betts per se. It's more, I have an issue with politicians in anyway, right? And there's an element of they're just civil servants. Who are you? You've got no professional clout here, right? That was the point I was making. I think I used the term Jackie Weaver as well, which I was dead happy with as a joke. Don't get me wrong. But then it transpired, and Beth educated me, boys. She absolutely schooled me on it. Sent me a good 4-paragrapher of telling me off of all those things that I said. So, Beth, I'm going to give you an opportunity to, on my own show, to double down and reiterate what it was you were telling me. Honestly, lads, fair play to her. She absolutely just called me out on my bullshit, and I was like, well, all right. Cheers, Beth. Carry on.
Look, if a bloke's chatting breeze, I don't care if you're my mate or not. I want to backtrack and.
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means.
Okay, all right.
No, did you not hear that, Ash? We're trying to get young people into the game, so we're gonna have to talk like young people. So allow it, fam.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just dropped Dan a nice message on. What morning was it? I've got the WhatsApp message up here so I can remember what I told you. Thursday morning, I've heard Daniel chatting shit about Clive Betts. I'm a big Clive Betts believer. So through our work with the Women's Supporters Group, I probably met Clive about 2 years ago now. And 2 years ago in Sheffield Wednesday land, in kind of relative terms, we were a circus, but we weren't too much of a circus. And Clive, big Sheffield Wednesday fan, was like, yes, things are okay right now, but look at all these red flags. Look at all these things that are eventually going to make us go, oh, shit. So I've been in meetings with Clive and the trust in their former iteration. He was really trying to get fan groups together and unify the fan base long before we had this semblance of the trust or anyone kind of talking to each other. I think this even predates our existence on the engagement panel, for example. So he's been putting the groundwork in for a long, long time. It was his initial idea to have an umbrella group. Don't want to give anyone too much PTSD on that. But that's one branch of his work that he's been doing. He's been very good at trying to make fans talk to each other. And then I guess in his kind of professional work, I know how far back he goes working with people like Matt Rodder at Reading, so Reading's MP, who's kind of been helping them on the political side, through the turmoil that Reading have just been through. He's been bringing it up in Parliament. He spoke to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport in their kind of, I guess, consultation meetings regarding what the regulator should be, what the regulator should look like. And again, appearing alongside people like Matt Rodder, who were like, look at these shit shows we've got here. I'm just going through my message now. There's some things in here I probably can't say publicly.
All right. Just try and erase all the swearing about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And recently he's been talking about he's been writing to Chancery as an MP. He's been writing to the Thai world, being like, who's this guy? What's going on? Mr. Chancery, who are you? What's going on? Where's your money? And I understand that hasn't gone down very well. I'm a big believer in Clive, and I wanted to come on and try and shut Dan down because he's been working for a lot longer than a lot of us have, kind of coherently to address this issue. And if we'd have all listened to him a little bit more, we might have been a bit more organised when it came round.
Go on, Stevie.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, you speak really highly of him. When you talk about his work behind the scenes sort of thing, is this something, to your knowledge, is it a passion that he has for Sheffield Wednesday that's gone wider, or is he a football fan that has gone, oh crap, things ain't right at Sheffield Wednesday beyond all the work that I'm doing, so now I'm going to home in on what's happening at my football club? I suppose it's almost like a chicken and egg situation, really, isn't it? Is he a football fan that's wanting to do well for Wednesday, or is he a Wednesday fan that wants to take the cause to the wider sort of football community?
I'd go with the latter. I mean, yeah, I think to me, he is a Wednesday fan who wants to bring attention to this. I think collaboration is massive. That's me personally. I think we should all be talking to other fan groups, and that's been something I've been trying to do at the FSA AGM, is talk to people like Leeds and Charlton and Reading who've like, you've been down this road, like, can you hold a hand a bit? So I'd hope that Clive is kind of speaking to Matt Rodder and these people kind of in the same light, but he's absolutely, in my eyes, a Wednesday fan who is trying to fight our corner and make sure that he, as all 30,000 of us in Hillsborough or however million around the world, are still having a club this time next year. I've seen him at away days. I see him on the COP most times that I go. Like, he is a proper Wednesdayite who cares about our future as much as we all do.
Fair enough.
Is it just something, like I said just before we came on, is it something that he should be, or should he, don't know if it's up to him, I suppose, shout about it a bit more, or it's documented a bit more, so people like Dan don't get the wrong impression, or they're ill-informed on how much work he's doing or how much influence he's trying to get on there? Because, like I say, you met him 2 years ago thing, but obviously he's been doing it a lot longer, no doubt. I've been on the engagement panel 4.5 years, I think it is. Never heard of him, and I don't think he's ever spoke to anyone on our panel. I know I'm not saying that's the thing, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like you've told us all the great things he's doing. I think he should shout about it. Awesome.
I don't know if this is going to be a bit of a cop-out answer, but I feel quite aware of it. I feel like it's been...
You work with him, Beth. You know him.
I know, but like, I've seen this on social media. I don't know if this is my algorithms or me like going in pursuit of like, I want to watch the debate in the Department of Culture, Media and Sport about the incoming regulator. Like,
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
maybe it's because
Yeah, me neither.
and then my
Love
algorithm
Island, mate.
would love this. I see it. Maybe I will... Next time it happens, I'm going to send it to the Wednesday Week Twitter account.
Right.
We'll all stay on the same
And
page.
you're going to ruin our algorithms. No, I appreciate you, Beth. I genuinely didn't know any of this. I was the same as Ash, and it's almost as if I have a podcast in which I spout off and want to spark some debate. But I absolutely got eviscerated on Owls Talk, and I didn't understand why. I thought people would like to jump on the back of it. I thought it'd be quite engaging, but I was quite I don't know. I think I was more critical of his position, and if he's and I kind of agree with Ash. There's an element of, if he's done all this, I kind of want to know about it, because I've been doing this show for 15 seasons now. You know what I mean? And I didn't know. To me, he was just a geezer that got jostled outside the House of Parliament or something, didn't he? Outside the town hall, those type of things. But but having done some reading this last week, I know he's had a tough time of it in some areas, and I feel like what politician hasn't really? You know what I mean?
Get him on for my Wednesday, Dan. Get him on.
I tell you what, this I was going to wrap this up actually on the back of my Owls Talk thread, and Beth chewing me out. I did email the office of Clive Betts to come on this show, and I put me black turtleneck on like I did the other month, and then we can have a chat and talk about what it is and about what he's doing and what his plans are, because I feel like let's give him a platform, let's reach out. But Beth, I really appreciate you chewing me out on that. Thank you very much. And
All right.
I want to say thanks, Owls Talk, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But put that on your website. Where's Ollie? Let's get a voice note of Ollie saying put that on your website. Am I getting cooked in the comments, Ash?
No, not at all. No. There's some people saying that he's been doing it for quite a few years. A lot of people older than us saying not this one. Try SW5998 Walker. Says Clive was active when Howard Wilkinson was managing Wednesday, calling stuff out. I can't remember what it was about, as I was young. As far as I'm concerned, everyone pile in. Good on you, Clive. And I meant piling on you, I think, on that one, Dan. I think it is.
Yeah, fair. I deserve a pile on. It's been a while.
Rachel Ancliffe makes probably a good point, actually, and maybe against what I said. If Clive talks about it, he'll get accused of courting publicity, so he can't win.
I think that's pretty much the tone of what I was saying last week, to be fair, that he was caught in publicity and he didn't really have the professional clout.
Well,
the irony. The irony of Jan Fudd saying he's caught in publicity is not wasted on me there, isn't it?
And then I'll close this out with the last one. Ergo McGurgle, biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Hey, listen. I'm allowed to do U-turns as long as it's educated and it's balanced. Because I'm a big believer in people planting their flag, finding out more information, and then coming the other side of it. I remember, was it Lizzo? She had a song and it used the word, and my apologies for this term. Within the song, she used the term spaz, and it's a well used term in the States for somebody who's a bit what we would say in this country cack-handed. And when she found out that it was a slur for people with Down syndrome back in the 80s and 90s in this country, she changed the lyrics. And I kind of thought, well, fair play. She, you know what I mean? She shouldn't have used it in the first place, but now she's got the education on it. She's learnt about things, and now we've got something better come out of it. And I feel like that's something that we should talk about. I didn't think I'd be using that example on this show, I must admit. But I tell you what, let's get into some people selling your stuff, and then let's get into the timeline of terror.
Hold tight, kids, it's advert time.
Ash, fill for me. I'm having a nightmare. I want to cough.
Well, yeah, after Dan's been proper put in his place, we'll start off with the Wednesday week, as in the week in Wednesday, which has been fantastic, hasn't it? Are you back yet, Dan? You with us? You all right there, son?
Oh, that was ill-advised. Right then. So thanks, Ash. So then, boys and girls, Stevie's put some notes together of this week. Started out tame in Sheffield Wednesday World. So we had Gabriel Otabeo play for the under-21s. We had Sean Fuziri play his first game for Zimbabwe in a friendly. Pierce and his brother started for Northern Ireland's international friendly against Iceland, and Marv reappeared on social media, thus kicking off the nonsense with his Mr. Bean WhatsApp gif. Stevie, that one said a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it was good to welcome back Marv to the nonsense that is the hashtag of SWFC, and people were very quick to sort of pile on. And I you've got to feel an element of sympathy with the fella. Imagine being released by a club or told that his services are no longer required, and then he has to go out and he's still not been paid, even though he's no longer working for them, and he's well within his rights to to expect that salary. And he's not the only one, is he? I know that we're going to get into it over the next sort of half an hour or so, if not a little bit longer, but there's definitely an imbalance in between the way that some of these players have been treated in terms of some people getting paid and some people not. But if there's one person you don't want to be pissing off on social media at the moment, it seems to be Marvin Johnson.
I am here for it. I just love the drama. You know what I mean? I'm sat there with a popcorn, just absolutely loving every second of it. Beth, you touched upon it earlier. Joe Cran ran an article covering the drop in value of the Thai Union Group, which has impacted Dapon Chansiri's apparent wealth. Could be a contributing factor to why the players haven't been paid and the rest of it. And administration, the word has started to loom a lot more, hasn't it? The Thais aren't doing well, are they? I feel like you mentioned earlier about Clive's email, they're probably sat there going, yeah, we know, pal. What are you telling us for?
Yeah, I think Clive said the reply. I'll say the C word again because everyone seems to be a bit sick of it now. But apparently the reply was like, "Who the heck are you?" or something like that. But anyway, it actually doesn't matter that the Thai Union Group don't have any money because apparently they have nothing to do with Chansiri. You know, oh fine, they don't even know each other anymore. They're estranged. Like, who even knows what the fuck's going on anymore? Like, we know Chansiri's got any money. Does it matter if his brother and his dad ain't got any more either? Like, I'm despairing. Like. Sound everyone's skin.
Imagine if it's like, I don't know why, but this just popped into my head, like walking up to three crackheads going, have you got any money? No. And then looking at the other two and then asking them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they ain't got none either, Chief. I find that really interesting, though. Like, money wasn't an issue for the Chansiri family at any point. This was a plaything as far as we were concerned as fans. And then now, all of a sudden, I don't know, as somebody, have we stopped eating fish?
It's all the vegans.
It always is. Can't eat oat now because woke. That was a joke, people. Don't please.
That's next week's dressing down.
Oh God, folks.
Not off me.
No, I'm gonna have the woke vegans on all of me back next week. And then Ash, and then Alex Miller did a post about Wednesday's meeting at the Working Men's Club. Hang on, let me get this right. I'm going to read Stevie's notes verbatim here. It says, it is reported that the Trust intends to present a 10-page vision for the future of the club. The vision is said to include a 7-point plan. The Trust will campaign for the delivery of the improvements we have outlined in a better Wednesday. Consistently, whoever owns the club, we will work positive with any owner who will work with us to make Sheffield Wednesday a successful club, which is in touch with its supporters and local community. I like that as a statement. I think it's a good statement. Work with us. We're not working against you, because I feel like, Ash, that the issue with Chansiri is he's not after feedback. Every constructive bit of criticism he gets is met with hostility, correct?
100%, Daniel. I mean, we all know that the last engagement panel meeting, the extraordinary one, lasted 6.5 hours, was it? Something like that. And Jeez. It was, some of the questions weren't answered as well as they could have been. The questions that he got asked, he was very defensive and like a lot of times goes off on all different tangents and don't actually focus on that question itself and try and circumvent it. He's a frustrating character, and it doesn't surprise me that obviously people with a lot more money or trying to buy the club are having problems with it, because the way even mere mortals like us just giving up his free time to do engagement panel stuff, and he don't really treat us with the real respect that you would treat people, I would say. Then it doesn't surprise me that they're getting short-shifted and not getting any sort of communication.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very much so, and I feel like this is why the trust has developed so vehemently in terms of moving forward, because we're kind of shouting into the ether, and we have been as a fan base for a number of years. I must admit, I'm quite enjoying Jim and Rob's "Told You So" tweets. I must admit, they're entertaining me a little bit. But Stevie, let's get into the meeting itself on Wednesday night. It was live streamed. I feel I need to apologise to James from the Wednesday Till I Die podcast, because he did all the work and we just pressed the share button. And but I believe that there was a I mean, bear in mind, it's a hell of a setup to try and put something like that together. And fair play to the people who did it. Big shout out to the hero in the background doing the wanking gesture as someone was talking. Quite a fan of that. I hope it was in reference to who he was talking about rather than the geezer that was speaking.
It was Simon with a Y who was speaking.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, let's get into it then, Stevie. Have you got your notes in front of you there? Because I feel like I was on a train when it was happening, I could do with some more information on it, and I felt like you guys, just like Beth has done this evening, is educate me somewhat.
Yeah. So obviously it's opened up just in terms of the premise of the evening. The trust had put together this event, and the first thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to give a little bit of a rundown of the finances, the history of the financial history under Dapon Chansiri, going all the way back to sort of 2015. And then they'd gone through the fellow who spoke, I think his name was James, forgive me. He spoke really well. He was very articulate. He held the room. He was very charismatic. I thought what he said and the way that he said it was fantastic. And this isn't me being antitrust or anything like that. My initial thoughts was, Jesus Christ, there's some absolute bombs being dropped here. If this is all, information with substance and verification, then there are some serious questions that need asking, and those serious questions need to go back sort of 6-7 years.
What sort of examples?
The major one was him talking about the fact that effectively Chansiri's not really put any money in since 2018. So he stopped funding the club. They were arguing that he'd stopped funding the club in 2018. I think the way that he described it was that the funding falls off a cliff. And I'll just go through the headline statements around those finances. Despite Chansiri suggesting he puts £2 million a month into the club, they sort of surmise that the figure is probably closer to 1.2. Indeed, there were only 2 years where he's met that figure of 2 million. He didn't put any money in 2020. Supporters, and this is the assertion that has come from James, the supporters have invested 129.5 million into the club since 2015. And that means that cumulatively, they've now invested more money than Chansiri himself. And that led to an argument that it's more of the supporters club than it is Chansiri. And, we talk about the nomenclature and the things that he says about his club, our club, their club, supporters, customers, etc. The other one that was quite interesting was that there was an argument that supporters' money and commercial sponsorship was enough to cover the cost of the players' wages. Now, from my point of view, if we're arguing that, or from the sort of topic there, if we're arguing that we don't have any money and they're saying that we do have the money and there's enough to comfortably cover, there's a discrepancy there, and that immediately sort of points to the fact that we need to be thinking about where is the money going to if it's not going on player salaries. Again, we're being objective here. We're not calling anybody out. We're just saying that this is what was reported on that evening. So that was the sort of headline in terms of that initial statement, which was very, very well received, as you can imagine. I think there was around about 350 people there on the night, and they were all of a sort of similar ilk in terms of what they wanted, and ultimately we all want what's best for the club. But they were quite vehement in their disdain for Dapon Chansiri last week.
Yeah, it did. I did see some name calling and stuff like that, but the figures didn't read very well. And there is an element of, I think it was Blair who did the maths and said X amount comes from this. Where's all that money going, and where is it going? There's rumours of his family cutting him off and all the rest of it. I was always under the assumption over the last decade for a lot of the time is that because of PSR rules, profit and sustainability piece, I thought he had the money but couldn't put it in.
Spend it. Yeah.
I thought that was it. And I was always under the impression, and then Ash on this show, and I remember it clear as day, when we got the point deduction. And then we went back to League One and all the rest of it. And Ash said on this show a couple of years ago, well, we've had the fine, we've had the points deduction. Why are we still losing money? Like, you know what I mean? And you kind of go, yeah. Like, yeah, why are we still losing money? You know what I mean? Because I think the issue that Sheffield Wednesday fans have had, Beth, over the last number of years, the last 30, 40 years, is that we're turning up, we're paying our money, we're doing our part, we're buying the shirts, we're buying the tickets, and why aren't we better ran? It always seems to be. Do you reckon it's greed? Do you reckon it's mismanagement? Do you reckon it's that we're not paying as much as we think we are because we're tight-blooded Northerners and all the rest of the shite that comes with it? I mean, what do you think it is?
There is definitely a kind of gap there between the wages, how much maybe spend on players, how much money is going in, which we can see on things like the company's house accounts. There is definitely a gap there where some money is obviously going because we can't see it. However, I don't think, and I'm not a big mathsy girl, and I've not crunched these numbers myself, there is a little bit of a gap as well in what the trust presented. Like, yes, we have got money coming in, but we don't just pay for wages. Like, there'll be other operational costs around
for the stadium, and
which I don't exactly. Like, again, I'm not a mathsy girl, I'm not a businessy girl, but I know as much that there's more to running a business and running a football club than paying the people who are there.
Although, to be fair, that is a big one, right?
It is. It's a hell of a big one. I'd imagine it's probably our biggest outgoing. But like people have said, I think I've just seen it in the chat, like, this is creating a conversation now about the money in more depth than I think we've had possibly ever. Like, we are looking at this going, okay, so yeah, the trust have said this. Maybe there is a gap there. Maybe the trust haven't covered everything, but then how much money would that be? And I'm sure there's people more clever than me kind of starting to fill that gap. I think I've seen it on X this week. There's something going wrong here, isn't there?
Yeah, the math ain't nothing.
Can I just come in there, Dan? Sorry, I don't want to give it any sort of a massive platform, but it generated a conversation similar to the one that we've got tonight in the LMS group on Thursday. And friend of the show, Pete Lohman, is in that LMS chat, and people sort of lean to him. Is there any sort of substance in what has been said at this forum tonight? Is there any sort of verification for what's going on? And again, we're not opposed to what was said last Wednesday. It was a viewpoint. It was something that was discussed. And I genuinely believe that there is something going wrong somewhere, because we can't keep hemorrhaging money that he's going out of the club. He directed, and I'll try and get him to sort of share the links again so we can maybe post them. He directed us to Swiss Ramble. So if you watch the price or listen to the Prices Football, they do lots of work and refer to Swiss Ramble a lot. And he had some slightly different viewpoints in terms of the financing of the club. And I think it's very important that we sort of acknowledge that. And we're taking what has been said at the trust, and it rightly has generated a conversation that is going to get us thinking and talking about it and getting that platform and that voice. Because let's be right, I'm saying it in the right way, we need to put the pressure on to try and get our club into a situation where we aren't on June, whatever the date is today, 17th, 16th, 17th, waiting for pre-season, waiting for players coming back, waiting for management announcements. All of these things need to move forward, so the pressure needs to come. However, we've got to look at it from both sides, and I think it's important to look at that argument from the trust side, but Swiss Ramble's got some bits out there that I'll see if we can get out and sort of share as well.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Now, there were some guest speakers there, Ash. We had John Newsom going in, somebody who's played for the club twice. We had Chris Turner who played, who I thought was very passionate in the way he spoke. Do you feel like their presence added gravitas to the situation a little bit? Because there is an element of, what are you doing here? I know it sounds facetious, but I'm just. Do you feel like it adds to it?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. Ex-Wednesday players from a better era, shall I say, as well, coming to lend their weight behind the cause. I have to admit, in the group chat, I did question John Newsom because I always thought he was a massive Leeds fan. He's
literally on Leeds TV, isn't he?
He works for him and all that. And I know we've had him on the show, so I don't know why, but I just thought, oh, that's strange seeing John Newsom there. But no, he's a massive Wednesdayite apparently. So no, yeah, of course. And I think Chris Turner got a lot of love for his speech. Obviously, I was going to say that he probably had a bit of fuel in him. And Hergel McGurgles just said, yeah, Turner had at least a few pints of passion. Loved it though. Why not? Well, no, it's not hurting anyone for a few sherbets, is it? But then, yeah. And like I said, there were quite a few people on X that really commended him for his, because no doubt it's hard. It's his club as well, standing up there in a room full of people and trying to save his club as well. So yeah, why not? Yeah, good idea to get him
turning up. Let's. I tell you what. I'll ask Stevie this next question. I'll come to you in a bit, Beth. But Ash, do you want to smash a few comments up about how people felt about the trust? See, have we got any contrasting opinions on there? Because I feel like, as Beth was saying earlier, this is the most unified we've been in a while in terms of it. I appreciate and probably this is where Jim and Rob have probably been frustrated with the fan base. I appreciate that we haven't all been at the same place when it comes to the Chancery out question. I gave him a lot more time than I thought, but then again, there was an element of I didn't go to the football for that. But then now we all seem to have got to a place where it's all come together a little bit, and I wondered if anybody else had any contrasting views on it, Ash.
No, really. John's been on plenty of people. This is in reference to obviously the financial bits. Plenty of people not agreeing with the figures, but getting people talking about it is a positive thing, and that's what Stevie alluded to as well. Yeah. Walker, it was to empower the fan base into being more vocal. It worked for me.
Yeah. I think that's the best. That's the best way I've heard it described. If I'm honest. Go on, Ash.
And the last one with them, J Blogs, I think the trust were clear that the funds generated from supporters, including Sky TV monies, etc., should at least cover wages. They said it will. They did say it still wouldn't pay for everything. So
fair enough. And then we'll get to that in a bit.
That wrong. Yeah, sorry.
Now, Stevie, there was another speaker there, Simon Quick from 1867 News, did a bit of a speech. What sort of insight did he offer?
He seemed to allude to the American consortium coming in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not wearing any pearls to clutch right now, but carry on.
He basically, I'm just going back to the notes, he basically offered a current position in terms of the ongoing search for investment or takeover. Which again was largely centered around the American consortium that had come in, claimed that bids had been sort of made and conversations had been had, and they went on the week leading up to the non-payment of players. He said that they were willing to make a bid, or they were willing to do business there and then, and that might have covered the cost of the wages, but it was turned away for whatever reason that may have been. So. Yeah, he spoke passionately, as Simon does. He spoke in support of the American consortium. He spoke in support of driving change and bringing somebody else in that would potentially offer Dapon Chancery what Dapon Chancery had asked for when he said, "Find me a buyer." And I feel that "find me a buyer" is something that's going to stick with Chancery for a hell of a long time, because whilst people are going out and finding buyers, there's a discrepancy between finding a buyer and finding a buyer that can meet Dapon's vast and extortionate request and expectations.
Yeah, I feel like as we get further down the timeline, there's going to be more pop out about that. So Beth, I'm sorry, I need to come to you about this. So in terms of Simon from the 1867 News account, he speaks a lot about the American consortium bid. Do you feel like it's some kind of, the more cynical between us will go, he's clearly one of Adam Shaw's pals and he's only ever speaking about that one. I know, and I see this on X all the time. What's his role here? He's not talking about Turkish bidders. He's not talking about Saudi bidders. He's just specifically talking about this American consortium. Is that because that's the only bid, or is that the one that he's affiliated with? And I appreciate I'm putting you on the spot here. Don't get me wrong, but I feel, in order to back you up a little bit, if you need it, I feel that that's the way it comes across to me, and I think that's the way it comes across to a number of other people. Is that like, you're just shouting about your pal's bid? And don't get me wrong, he's done some solid work, and he's brought in conversations based on what Walker said earlier on when we put that comment up. But I feel like there's a personal vested interest in this. Would you know what I mean? Am I being out of order?
Yeah, I commend the energy and the time he's putting into this. Something that he brought up in the trust meeting that went very quiet was towards the end. He seemed to allude, or not even allude, say quite specifically that he'd spoken to the chairman, and the chairman had pretty much said, yeah, I think I need to sell now. And have we heard anything about that since? Where's the proof? Apparently he's not talking to no one. Like, there's something, again, that's a bit... What are you all gasping at? Because
there's no fucking way he's spoken to Dave Exactly.
I thought I'd said something really bad then. You all
No.
It might have done. I just realised.
I'm going to go there.
Help her out, Stevie. Help her out, bless her. Sorry, Beth.
Gravity,
right on the spot.
Gravity behind
gravity.
That
Oh. Sorry, I'm very tired. Yeah, there's an interesting podcast he's been attached to that's come out this week, hasn't there?
What's that one?
Have you not seen it?
Oh, the flat Earth one as well. Oh, good lord.
No. Yeah, well, each to their own on that though. If that's what this is a total different subject. If he's trying to find a buyer for your club, I don't think we can begrudge him wearing a tinfoil hat now and again.
Chansiri's upside down or something.
Well, if you did, he'll probably send him to the moon and back, trying to deal with Chansiri, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, I don't want to publicly eviscerate somebody without the right to reply. So Simon, if you do want to come on and stick up for the flat Earth, come on in. But you know what I mean, go for it. Send me a tweet. I feel that there you are speaking about the other bid far too much rather than the club as a whole, which is I guess my point through all that. But let's move on, Ash. Have we got any other comments, by the way, before I move on to Thursday?
Tom, all for people pushing for change, but not a fan of people doing it so they can boast about it. That's his thoughts on Simon. Anthony J. Beale. Simon was open about the first bid and strongly alluded to the value of the second bid. He stated it was as much as was reported. So I think he's just saying he's only saying things that are out there already.
We spoke last week. We spoke last week, didn't we, about it was an initial 20 million quid and then 50 if we get promoted, or something, 20 odd million or something like that, 50 odd if we get promoted. Did he offer any clarification on that?
What he said he meant was the first bid when you remember I was at the Price of Football live show. I think I spoke about this last week, and Simon was there, and he spoke to Kieran, and he said that the initial bid had gone in rejected as derisory of $47 million, I think it was.
Right.
And then the Chansiri had come back and said he wanted 120. So that was that. I think that's the first that anyone had heard of an actual bid going in, because that he said that on the night. So I think. And obviously, he's been dealing with this sort of stuff. So,
£120 million. He's off his head, isn't he? He's off his head. How much are Freddos in Thailand? I say, how much is a pint of beer and how much is a Freddo? That's how British people, work out currency, right? What else we got in the comments? Smash.
Walker's on. We are all cynical at the moment. Simon is going to get burned, whatever.
Fair.
And I think we're not. Obviously, Simon's the one who's behind the scenes doing whatever he's doing. He's put his head up. He's come out publicly, and there isn't. I know we'll get onto it in a bit. The next bit of the story, but there's no one else at the minute. Some fans are that peed off. They've got to cling to something and whatever.
Yeah.
And I know the trust. Obviously, he was there speaking. He's part of the trust. He's helping them. But if there is anyone else, we don't know about it. They might be doing stuff behind the scenes quietly or trying to, but probably not. But he's the only one that's come up and said something, and he is going to get questions about his what he's doing or why he's doing it and all that sort of stuff, because he's the one who stuck his head up.
Yeah.
And if it was somebody else, they'd probably get the questions. It's not personal on him. It's because of the situation.
Agree with you. I agree with you. Each one of us here are in a position where we've put our head up above the parapet in a certain aspect. Do you know what I mean? Bethany, the WSG gets accused of causing a divide all the time. You know what I mean? We work on this show and we get called that we're in one camp. I think I've been called a happy clapper for a lot of years now, which I completely understand. And I understand how it can turn on you. You know what I mean? You can sit there and you can think you're saying the same thing. You think you're saying the right thing. And then all of a sudden, if it keeps going, people will dig and people will find and people will look at a way to discredit you. And it's happened to me for a decade and a half doing this. And I feel that that's kind of what's happening to Simon. Personally speaking, from experience, I think he just might need to wind it in a bit publicly and carry on doing the work he's doing behind the scenes. I have got no issue with that. I feel like it's playing itself out in a very public arena, as it were. It's being called about in the town square, Stevie. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to reference. Ash, don't mind me putting this up. Gary Fox has just put a comment in the chat where he's saying it corroborates what this independence intermediary confirms now, and we'll speak about Mr. Smith in a little while. As of now, there's only their bid on the table because the chance here is unrealistic valuation. Yeah. And to play devil's advocate, if he's only talking about one bid, you can surmise that there's only one bid that's gone in at that level.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
The nature of the bid is, let's be right. If you're going in, we talked about it last week. If it's 20 million with add-ons, with clauses, etc., to get it to that valuation, we could all do that. We could club together as a podcast, and I'm not saying we get to 20 million, but if you want something that's going to get to that sort of height, I've just looked at Ash's face as I've said that. How
many Easter eggs is that, Ash?
But you've got to make it something that he's going to be interested in, and we know how much he wants. We know ballpark. We know the kind of person that we're sort of operating here with. If you're going in and saying we're going to offer you a fifth of your valuation and then give you the rest in add-ons if and when something happens, that's a problem. And I don't think it's with due respect to that consortium, because I don't know enough about them. We can have opinions on Adam Shaw and the other fellow whose name escapes me right now, and anybody else that's involved in. Thank you, John Flanagan, and anybody else that's involved. They might be just people that got the club at heart. But we talked about it last week, as I've said. There's a bigger picture here. We can get a bid on the table. We can get a bid over the line. But like I said last week, we are talking 6, 7, 8 years here. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about transfers. We're talking about endorsements. We're talking about redevelopment of the ground. We're talking about the academy. We're talking about all of that. 100 million ain't going to touch the sides, and that's a problem for anybody else that can afford 100 million to pay for it.
If anything, I question their sanity of why they want it in the fucking first place.
Well, I think that was a couple of questions that come out Wednesday, because one thing Simon did say, and I know it got asked on the night, was that the individuals that are part of the consortium, like I said, we've only heard of 2 people. They are all but one self-made millionaires, and then a combined net worth of between 2 and 3 billion. So he did say that on Wednesday. So I think what he's trying to say is that sorry. Tom's just said, what he's trying to say is that, yes, we don't know who they are, but they have, significant wealth. Now, is that still enough wealth to run Sheffield Wednesday? Which is another question, isn't it? But they're there, aren't they? So
my argument in response to that is that's great, but what's in it for them? So if they're worth 1 to 2 billion, they're not going to go, right, I've got 1 to 2 billion sitting in the bank. You want 100 million for a club that's by rights worth probably about 40 million. And then on top of that, we've got, the ground. I think the value of the club is probably somewhere I think it's 52, isn't it? We talked about that last week. 52 mil. You want me to pay double the price, the valuation to get the club, and then I've got to pay this, that, and the other on top of that. And all of a sudden, it starts to look a little bit bleak, and I'm paying a hell of a lot more money Doesn't matter how much money I've got in the bank. I'm paying a hell of a lot more than I should be paying for something that, at the end of the day, with due respect to these people, is going to be a little bit of a plaything. And I mean that with the greatest respect. They're not Wednesdayites. Bar Adam Shaw, they're not Wednesdayites. If Cardiff down the road, and I've heard rumours that Cardiff is worth, 10, 15 million less, and they're potentially available to purchase. You've got values of other clubs. If I want a football club, why am I going to come to Sheffield Wednesday if I'm an American consortium? Why don't I go and buy something that I can then go and build for less? Look at Wrexham. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney had no affinity to Wrexham whatsoever. They plumbed a little bit of money in, and now all of a sudden, if you believe what the figures I've seen this weekend, we're talking about £475 million worth of football.
Yeah, but £450 million of that is Ryan and Rob, isn't it? Once they go,
of course it is.
Club's nowhere. So yeah, so
of course it is. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
but it is what it is, isn't it? What I'm saying is they've taken Wrexham from here and put a relative pittance in, and now got it to what it is. But they're not Wrexham. They weren't Wrexham fans. They weren't bothered. It was a little project, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It does make you think that if Adam Shaw has that much pull on 8, 9, 10 individuals who are worth billions to say, come and buy my football club.
Yeah, I think if we look at Jason's comment at the bottom there, Ash, I feel like he sums it up there and said, if you're a hard-nosed business person, you will wait like a vulture. The writing's on the wall. Why would you even consider upping a bid? And I feel like administration, relegation, that's what rich people need, isn't it? That's what we need. They want to buy a shit League One club, take them to the Prem and flog us on. It's going to be a tumultuous time for Sheffield Wednesday going forward. However, then everything on Friday was made worse, Beth. Alex Miller spoke to a man who we can only refer to as Mr. Smith, and good Lord, some of the figures that were coming out of this article. So it turns out that Chansiri claims to have previously rejected 160 million, and some have been set in excess of 100 million. Mr. Smith was advised to only offer genuine bids and not to waste his time. Chansiri may seek to retain a minority stake, which I find absolutely fascinating. Look at me. We don't want you here. Get lost. Like, I want to keep
clip it.
I want to keep a bloody stake. What's the matter with him? And then Mrs. Smith has gone to interested parties to evaluation for the club and has effectively been laughed out in negotiations, with others saying they wouldn't touch this with a barge pole. I feel the 160 million comment is about 8 years old. I think I saw on X the other day. Is that right?
I think I remember, and this is that in one of our EP meetings a while ago, I think he did mention it, that he'd had an offer. I think it was after the playoffs. So probably I don't know if it was the first year or second year. So
yeah,
I think that was when we went up, if my brain serves me correctly. Before I get onto that, two things. This is the first time I've been partial to Stevie's notes, and they're fantastic. But I think next time you should improve them by going, "Dear Diary, today."
What he does, he writes them out, and in the background he's playing Stan's Eminem without, you know what I mean, with no lyrics to it, and he's just filling them in.
But they're fantastic. I think they need a little Stevie touch.
Yeah.
Second of all, that article was like a spy novel, like Mr. Smith and all of this. It was like, it's getting a bit Agatha Christie in here. But yeah, it's just bizarre, isn't it? I mean,
but that sits well with me though. Somebody who's in and around that world remaining anonymous. I'm like, correct.
Yes, as you should. Well done, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
If that is your real name,
money that I haven't already said on this very show. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Do you feel that? Here's a question for you guys. Do you feel that you would rather have, because we're all there, would you rather have that approach to somebody facilitating, organising, putting bids in, as in it's behind the scenes, or somebody that, like Simon, that does inform the fans and people, because everyone wants to know, don't they? Everyone's itching for something off of social media, off shows like this, off other shows that something's happening, something is happening. But if you don't hear anything, obviously we haven't heard from the owner for God knows how many months, weeks, or whatever, then perceived there's nothing happening. Would you rather it just be nothing. And then Monday morning, there's some geezer stood outside with a Chef Wednesday scarf saying, "I've just bought the club." Type thing.
Can I have a mixture of both?
I
would
about
like
to say have a
somebody
mixture
of
of both. Like,
somebody of
think
repute.
I know too much.
Yeah.
Like, and it's making me worried because I don't understand all of it. Like, and also at the same time, the silence is terrifying. I don't know how much people followed the Reading situation, but I followed it quite closely because I was scared about us and also because of my job. Do people know who Huang Kang is? He was
I think he's a character on Street Fighter 4.
Perhaps. In my world, he is a guy on Twitter who was based in China when all the Dai Yong stuff was going on, who was translating all of the media pieces for the Reading Press. But then it turns out, I think he was a journalist or something. He had an in. So he was like doing class leaks in the Reading situation. And he basically like leaked that the takeover had gone through like 2 days before. And this guy, he was like, maybe he can be like an extra novel character in this spy novel that's happening with Mr. Smith. But that's what I want. I don't want assignment. I don't want nothing. I want a nice, mysterious Twitter account that's got seemingly no personal game in it. I want like a... We've got so many characters in this lovely Sheffield Wednesday story with the @Chancery accounts and Mr. Smith and Simon. We need someone super mysterious now. I want...
Wendy leaks. We'll have Wendy leaks.
Wendy.
Yeah.
I want somebody of repute. Like, when you have like a lot of accounts trying to be the next person to break a story. It was that one I keep bullying online. The Jordan. He's that one I keep absolutely eviscerating because he's like, "Oh, this is going to happen tomorrow," and it don't. But
Fabrizio Romano.
No, he actually gets a lot right, right? But there's everybody trying to be the next Fabrizio Romano, right? I want somebody of repute. So when they talk about transfers, if it gets reported in the BBC, I'm very much like, oh, so it's happening. You know what I mean? So what I'd like is the BBC or somebody with a reputation such as the BBC to go, just so you know, lads, there's a lot going off back here. Obviously, we've got to cross the T's and dot the I's, but it is underway. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I don't want, well, I said this and I said this, and let me go on Rob Statton's show with me painted on beard and talk about that. No, I just want somebody to go, hey, lads, it's happening. I believe there's an interest that he does want to sell, and there is somebody who wants to buy. It's all happening behind the scenes. Could take 3 weeks, could take 3 months. Hold your horses. Hold on to your hats, boys. And you know, that'd be all right with that. I'd be all right with that. What's that? The Athletic just this second has posted an interview with Adam Shaw. Now, this is interesting for me.
55k seated stadium and says club is way bigger than Wrexham. I've just got it up.
I was just about to find it. Go on.
I'll get back to you in 5. Let me skim this piece.
Beth, have a skim read of it and give us the headlines, because I feel that this is a great piece into what we're talking about in terms of carrying it out in the media. Adam Shaw is picking a very dangerous route to go down here with somebody as volatile as Chancery, right? For example, Chancery, when pressed at a fans forum, said, this geezer's not paid any bills. What Adam Shaw should have done is either release a press statement, just a statement, or picked up the phone to Chancery before it got to this, right? Or paid the fucking bill, right? Depend on whether he did or not. What he did was go on to Rob Statton's show on Football Heaven and start slagging Chancery off in the press. Then he's gone on to various other media outlets and started talking about this in the public forum, and I don't like that. I don't like that because to me personally, I don't know if you guys are the same. It comes across as something a bit Brexity. It's how they got Brexit done, by manipulating people into telling them what they want to hear, and it kind of. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's trying to get us on side. It's trying to get us to. He's trying to curry favour from us, so we all put pressure on the chairman. I'd rather do it properly.
I think Simon hit the nail on the head last week when he was talking about it being, I think it was Simon, by the way, general electionist. You know, it has that sort of feel about it, doesn't it? It's propaganda slash, you know, a political campaign that is being played out in the public. And what I would say, I agree with what you're saying, Dan. But what I would say from the Mr. Smith point of view, my personal viewpoint, and I'd like to think that, you know, certain people would share that viewpoint as well, is that I don't want to see it all played out on social media. I don't want to know what bids have gone in. I don't want to know what's happening, certainly at the formative stage. You know, and if you're getting towards the end, the knock-ins of a deal being done, you're going to get to a point where eventually somebody's going to go, right, we've made a bid and we're having negotiations. And then the people, like you've just said about the BBC, the people that you trust, the people that you know that you can lean on to sort of verify something. And I'll go back to the financial talk that was at the trust and at the forum. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but I spoke to Alex and I said, oh, because he was there, and he sort of said, that's some sort of mind-numbing information there. And he said, yeah, I've got some work to do now, because what he wanted to do was he wanted to go and verify that everything was correct. And you know, people don't go out and say things that without in that sort of level, without any sort of verification. And the only thing that I would say is, if those trusted sources of information aren't tweeting about things, if they're not saying things, if they're not reporting things, because that's their job at the end of the day, then I'm going to hold fire and wait until something official comes out. Because at the moment, you know, we know that when they start saying these things, that's as close to official as it's going to get without any
that's
sort
what
of...
I mean. That's what I mean by
Yeah,
somebody reputable.
exactly
I know
that.
Adam, I know Joe and Alex will not release anything unless it's been verified. And if they say this is happening, then it's happening. You know what I mean?
Which is yeah.
Like that article
Sorry.
with Barry Bannon today. I feel like that's what it is. Right then. So Beth, I'm gonna literally once again for the second week running piss Stevie off and just skim over his notes and his extensive background, and then we're going to spend the last 15 minutes breaking news. You know what I mean? That's what we're going to do. Okay, so Saturday happened. We had the Wrexham emerged as they were courting Barry Bannon. I feel that would be a great move for him, if I'm honest, given everything that's happening here. I don't begrudge him. Footage emerged of Danny Roll being interviewed at a charity tournament near his home, and he was talking about the culture of the UK, and the pub culture of the fans is very special. It seemed a little rehearsed. It didn't really give anything away, did it? And then there was also a news emerged that Danny got called back from holiday from reluctant Nico on the X's, and we've had nothing since then, have we, Ash, on that?
No. What's your thoughts on that? Because like he's had 6 weeks off. Didn't he? He flew out on the day after the
day of
last
Watford,
game, didn't he? So he flew home. Understandable. Want to get back to the family. Nothing wrong with that. 6 weeks is an awful long time, isn't it? And if he's not been actually doing anything in the background, because you've seen other managers have been doing bits and pieces and on socials and signing players, and I know we can't do that, but you would hope that he's had a bit of a finger in some pies, just ticking over. You know, like you're on holiday for a while, I just have a look at my emails.
Yeah.
Shall I just have a check? I know I'm not working, I shouldn't, but you know, there might have been something.
Yes, exactly that. It's exactly.
I don't see it. And he's under contract, so I suppose you could say to your boss, look, your boss could say you've had 6 weeks off. Yes, you come back to the shit show, but yeah, I don't know.
There's an element of well, fuck you, pay me as well. You know what I mean? And 6 weeks is a long time for me. Anthony says he's a teacher. Do you get the summer off, Stevie?
Hey, you know what? I've sat in a meeting tonight and said that I'm going to work the first day of the 6 week holiday.
Yeah, well, you're such a hero.
Oh,
you're such a hero.
Dedication.
Look at you.
Dedication.
Ashley, I have started a few comments there, and then if you want to get through them, and then we will talk to Beth to break our news.
Yep, John Winfield has been on saying Trump won the election by being on every popular podcast and dominating Twitter. Sure, he's doing the same ploy. Well, he knows where he wants to come. He knows where he wants to come if he wants to have a chat, you know.
He's doing the same ploy, but there's a difference between trying to order somebody to sell their thing to you or trying to curry a vote, and I don't think Adam Shaw kind of realises that. This isn't a court of public opinion where we have a vote and go, now then, everybody, who do you want to sell the club to? Do you want Chansiri to keep it? Or that vote doesn't happen. You know what I mean? It should be Chansiri he's talking to because it's his thing. Carry on.
I think it's clear Chansiri doesn't like Adam Shaw and will not want to sell to him. So if this group of anonymous sports people, business people, whoever, really want to buy it, do they just forsake Adam Shaw if he's not going to sell to him and get someone else to front the facial front of it. I don't know.
The facial front.
Football Insider, Dan, the guy who chats bollocks. That's from
That's
Ben.
him. He can jog on.
Anthony J. Beale, but his chance here is doing it properly. Also,
nope.
Fudge.
No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Chansiri, for the first time, has shut the F up, and we haven't heard from him. Normally, we can't shut him up.
Yeah. And Walker's been on Chan's exit. I'll vote for that.
Chan's exit. I'd have just gone with Chexit or Chansit, but Chexit. Right, okay then. So Beth, I'm going to give you an opportunity. This is yours. So I want you to talk about breaking news, ladies and gents. There's been an article from The Athletic talking about what is the article? Give me a gist, Beth.
The headline reads: potential Sheffield Wednesday owner calls for 55k seat at stadium, says club way bigger than Wrexham. So it's an interview with Adam Shaw, and it's been conducted by Matt Slater, who's very high up at the Athletic and ex-BBC. You know,
this is going to give me the in the meantime, though. Let's get one of these out of the way. The rumour mill. Give me the gist, Beth. What's happening?
Where was I? So, Mr. Adam Shaw, as the headline reads, he wants a 55k seat at stadium. He wants us to have one of the best academies in Europe. And of course, we are way bigger than Wrexham. Direct quote. Let me find that one. That was quite good. Sheffield Wednesday are nowhere in America. We sell 0 shirts and have no commercial presence there. That's got to change. With the World Cup in the US next year and with the individuals we have in our ownership group, we could easily become Florida's English football team. I think Florida suits us. All these memes about like Florida man. We are like the Florida man of football clubs for sure. There's a little bit of clarity, I guess, over the consortium. I don't know if I've seen before that it's 16 people, which includes current and former Major League Baseball players, an ex-Premier League star, and if the deal can be done, a well-known celebrity.
Right, okay.
Covering all bases there, isn't it?
Based on the information you've given me there, Beth, and I tell you what, I'm going to go with it as well because I want some comments from you lot about this as well. Based on what Beth has just told us there, I'm going to make that tonight's Hot Topic. So, as you heard there, Adam Shaw's been on The Athletic once again in the media to talk about his desire to own and run Sheffield Wednesday. There was a few headline moments in there. There were 16 people of varying backgrounds looking to invest into this consortium and some other noise. Now, I'm going to go first. That is a right load of old shit. That is a man who wants to play with his football club and wants to be in and around the football club and saying what that other geezer did, that John Flanagan that was Sheffield Wednesday bingo. Right. I'll be honest with you. I don't give a flying toss how many shirts we sell in America. I don't feel we can maintain the upkeep on a 55,000 seater stadium. Let's fill the one we've got unless you're building a new one.
More on that.
Yeah, what the fuck is he talking about? Ash, get me out of this. I'm going to say something.
No. Well, at least he's offering. Is it like I've just said 20 minutes ago? Information. People are going to be sucking up that we've interrupted the podcast because we want it. We're talking about it. He wants that, but I just feel that saying 16 people, which is quite a lot for me, but then
massive
again,
red flag.
I don't know. I don't know how many consortiums people it takes to make a consortium. I don't know. But he's saying sports stars, ex-Premier League stars, a movie star, or celebrity. So he's telling people, or I think he's laying out what I think he thinks people want to hear. So we've just done about Rob and Ryan, ex-sports star. Gareth Bale today saying he's sniffing around Plymouth. We've had Modric just invest in Swansea a couple of weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? So I think there is, and I've gone through it as well, and there is other bits as well further down that he's thrown in that are headline grabbing that us as fans would love to see, hear, and be part of. it's hard, isn't it? It's that 16 people, but if they're only just going to be there for money, then great. And I'm sure they'll employ the right business people. Michael, what's his name? Michael B. Jordan, invested in Bournemouth a couple of years ago. Don't hear nothing from him, dear, or anything. I think he was there on the last game of the season. I'm not a Bournemouth fan, but in the wider media thing I'm on about here, they're a Premier League team. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think we can throw shade on stuff we don't know a massive amount, and it's going to get us hopefully out of a hole.
I think I'm throwing shade on the fact that he's done the article anyway. He's now done BBC Sport. He's now got Simon doing podcasts, clearly. And he's got, and now he's done an article in The Athletic. Don't speak to us. Speak to Chansiri. What are you talking to us for? We don't want Chansiri there. What favour are you trying to cut? We've got no clout. What does he think we're going to do? We've been telling him off for the past 10 years. We've had protests. We've had meetings with him. We've told him where he's going wrong. What are you currying our favour for? You crackhead. Speak to him, Stevie. Carry on.
It's exactly that. I would love for this to be true. We'd all love for it to be true. I'd love for us to know that to be in a situation where it wasn't, a proportion of a bid that's going to have add-ons. Like you've just said there, it's relatively well documented that Adam Shaw is not well liked by Chansiri. I don't think that's any sort of secret. So if Adam Shaw wants Chansiri's attention and he's got a Hollywood celebrity, he's got 16 people, he's got people that are $1 to £2 billion in the bank, rather than just go to, right, I'm going to go to The Athletic. Let's be right. Adam Shaw could pick the phone up and speak to Dapon Chansiri tomorrow. It's not like he's trying to get his attention. And Dapon Chansiri, I'm having, if there was somebody with that much clout, Chansiri wants to sell the club. Let's make no mistake about that. He will wash. He doesn't want to keep it. He wants rid of it. The problem that we've got here, and what people need to remember, is that Chansiri wants to get rid of the club for 2 or 3 times as much as the club is worth. And that's where the problem lies, because people aren't going to pay 100, 120, 140, 150 million. We talked about this earlier on. If he said, right, I'll get rid of the club, I will sell the club tomorrow for 60 million, there would be 10, 12, 15 people going, do you know what? I'm interested. So if he wants people to sort of have that conversation at that level, then he needs to get those people over the line. But it goes back to that point we were talking about earlier on. When everything's played out on social media, it leads to this sort of situation where everything needs to be done privately anyway. And we're not doing it privately because these people are saying these things, and it's creating that situation now where, as Mr. Smith, to go back to Mr. Smith, the reason that Mr. Smith is operating in the shadows is because he clearly knows how to do business properly. He's not talking about it on social media. He's not going out there going, this is me, I'm going to tell you who I am, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it. What he's doing is he's going, right, let's broker a deal that's best for Sheffield, or attempt to broker a deal that's best for Sheffield Wednesday.
That article, Beth, has pissed me off. I've just realized.
It gets better, Daniel.
I'm genuinely annoyed because there's an element of, right, I get what you're doing. Sure, listen to me. Look at me. Dan Fudge, Wednesday week. Put up or piss off. That's it. I don't want any more articles talking about what you're going to do and giving us pie in the sky thinking. Sort of deal out with him. What are you talking to us for? You're doing me head in. And now Twitter's going to be an absolute mess now by about 11 p.m. tonight. Beth, you're going to piss me off even more, aren't you now?
The second half of the article is all little PR tap-ins, and they're all so perfect and sickly. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies, and I need to get them off my chest. So here we go. He wants to renovate the stadium. This is bizarre. So he wants to keep the south stand, but turn the rest of it into a more modern bowl effect. He also says in the same piece that within 5 years, he'd like to build this 55k seater stadium, sorry. So we're renovating Hillsborough, and when's this 5 year? Renovating Hillsborough will take 5 years. What the fuck are you on about? He wants to review and increase the honour shown to the 97 Liverpool fans who died in the crush at the stadium in 89. Rename the Leppings Lane End. There's more. He wants to, excuse me, cut the costs of tickets for all fans and give away up to 5k seats per game to ambulance crews, firefighters, NHS staff, police officers, and current and former members of the military, which is an American tradition, but he thinks Wednesday fans should get behind it. He wants to improve the quality of the club's merchandise and retail operations, go back to a more traditional version of our badge, and back Danny Roll. His final thing that he wants is to see fans representatives to join the board. My guy's not read the flipping incoming football regulator. You can't just have one guy. You got to have an old fans board, pal.
I wonder which fan representative he would like on the board.
He can't just have one. That's not how it's going to work under the regulator, Adam.
But that statement, that last point there has not clearly, forgive me, it's been written in my eyes. Who can I have? We could do with somebody who's been quite vocal on social media. Who might that be?
Right. I hated everything that you've just spoke about there, Beth. That to me is absolute horse shit. That is genuine favour currying to try and get everybody on his side. But I'm going to say it once again. I'm going to say it out loud again. Stop talking to us. Put up or piss off. I'm sick of. I'm genuine. All these fluff pieces. Do you know what I mean? He may as well have written in there, and I'm going to give everybody. He speaks like Cliff Richard in my head, and he's going to go. I'm going to give all school kids £1 as well. You know what I mean? Bag of sweets as they all go in. Buy it or don't. Buy it or don't. I don't want another article. I don't want another interview. I don't want to see your face in your terrible peak cap and your Just for Men beard. Buy it or don't.
But it's not up to him, though, the buying situation, is it?
It's not up to us either. What's he talking to us for?
Oh, no, but he's doing it to garner social media traction, isn't it?
But you can't buy a club with social media traction.
Yeah, I know. He wants to talk to the owner, but I don't think anyone's, apart from a couple of people, I don't think anyone spoke to the owner. So it is. You're right. You can have all the people in the world wanting to buy a club. If the guy who owns the club has got stupid expectations, then there's no point. You can shout. You can do all the interviews you want and stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. I think he is saying things that, as fans, you look at them and go, "I want a 55,000 seat. It'd be great to give free tickets away if we could. It'd be great to do this. It'd be great to that." It is. It's right. It's probably not what he should be doing now. It should be all about getting him on a phone, I suppose. But they're doing that in the background, so
are they?
And that's
it.
Do it in the fucking background. Because it wouldn't surprise me if he's tried to reach out to Chansiri a number of times in his last 3 or 4 weeks, and Chansiri's gone, "Is that Adam Shaw?" "Yeah, it is. Yeah, tell him to bollocks." And then sat there waiting for Turkey.
So why is it
20 million?
So just on that point, very quickly, if knowing that the groundswell of disdain towards Chansiri is, why are they not putting the pressure on Chansiri by going, "We've reached out on this date, this date, this date, this date. We've got we've made phone calls, and if I've missed this, forgive me. We've been on the phone. Chansiri won't speak to us. We've got all of this lined up that the chairman doesn't want to talk to us for whatever reason. Nothing there is being said. Nothing there is happening." Yeah. So tell us why. Tell us what's going on. Instead of going, "This is what I want." Do you know what? I'd love Hillsborough to be a bowl. I'd love there to be 55,000 people in a stadium supporting Sheffield Wednesday. I'd love, and it's nothing against Macron, I'd love the branded kits that are being worn all over the place. I'd love for us to be able to talk about getting this player in. I'd love for us to be, not necessarily be another Wrexham, but have that endorsement that makes us sustainable and being able to go and develop and grow from within. I'd love all of that. We all would, because we're fans of the football club. Adam Shaw, for all his faults, is a fan of the football club. So if I went in there and said, "Right, here is my manifesto for Sheffield Wednesday," do you know what I'd say is, I want 55,000 seat stadium. I want X, I want Y, I want Z. I'd literally write an article that he's just talked to the Athletic about and say, "This is what I want. You do it, Beth. You do it, Dan. You do it, Ash." All these people that are making the comment, that are dropping in the comments, would do exactly the same. Blair's
they're just hot air, and Blair's absolutely fucking trolling me now, right? Blair's just gone with, "It's actually quite clever." It's actually quite clever, to be fair. Blair, you're absolutely trolling me because it makes no difference. And this is the point I'm making, Stevie. None of this that he said makes no difference. We're already in Chancery out. This is the camp that we're all in as fans, right? This is where we are. This is what we're doing, okay? We're in Chancery out. Adam Shaw is a potentially owner of the club, right? He wants to come in, he wants to buy it. He shouldn't be talking to us to tell us what he's going to do. Everything that he's just put in that article should be in the, "Hiya, my name's Adam Shaw, I'm your new chairman. A lot of you won't know who I am, but this is my vision for the club going forward." That's his manifesto, right? This isn't a vote, and this is where Adam Shaw's falling down, right? This is my issue here. This is not a vote where we're trying to curry favour, where we get something where we talk about. Sorry, I just got Dan talks a load of crap, and it caught my attention, right? This is not a vote. This is not a poll that we're going to take where we go, right, everybody, we're going to do a quick vote. Would you want Chancery in charge or Adam Shaw? It doesn't matter what we think. We've already had protests. We've already had people kicking off. We've had parliamentary members talking about it in Parliament. It doesn't matter. All of that is just noise, and it's just because you speak to Jim and Rob from 1867. Hold tight, kids. Hang on. You speak to Jim and Rob from the 1867 group. They've tried. It don't matter. You go back further years with other chairmen and Wednesdayite talking to the chairman. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. Some of them back in the past before Chancery have been a bit more receptive to fan feedback. Chancery is absolutely closed off. He's an absolute wall. And everything that we've tried, everything that the WSG have done, everything that Rainbow Owls have done, he has final say on everything, and he's just put the blinkers on, shut down and gone, see you later. Talk amongst yourselves, kids. And that's how I feel right now as a fan. I feel like we're talking amongst ourselves. And that silly sod and his terrible beard is clowning off in the media. I don't think he's helping the fans get together, because all it's doing is drawing a line. Because I'm going to sit here and say this online, and there will be people like that geezer who just said I'm talking a load of crap. I feel that all this is going to do is cause division, because I don't think he's got the money.
The only thing I'd say on that, and I agree with you to an extent, when you're saying it doesn't matter, it does matter. It matters to us. It matters to the fans. It matters to the people behind the scenes. It matters to the staff. It matters to everybody. But until it doesn't matter to the chairman who wants more money than the club's worth. That's what you're saying, isn't it? It matters. It does matter. It doesn't matter to the person.
We've been complaining about ticket prices for 10 years, Stevie, and it's all fell on deaf ears. So Adam Shaw courting us all in the media, waste of time, wasting his breath. Yeah. And all it's doing is causing to the wrong person. You're right. So the trust getting everybody together on Wednesday, he's just undone all of that, I think. I think everybody was together Wednesday night at 10:30. Everybody was together. Everybody was in a position where they were all hugging each other and going, high five, look, we're great. I'm really happy that everybody's come together, right? That's what's happened. And then that bloke has come into the media, and there'll be people who feel as strongly about it as I do, where either shut up or put up or piss off, or everybody go in, I'm in Adam Shaw camp. And all it's going to do now, and me saying this right now, is going to cause division on the internet, and it's going to cause division amongst the fan base. I'm already getting chewed out in the comments. I'm already getting absolutely eviscerated. That's what Adam Shaw's statement's just done there.
But he is the only one, isn't he? You know, you're saying there's no other person, or
there's no other one that we've heard about.
We've heard about, yeah. So all this thing about everyone, you can't be you're not in Adam Shaw's camp. I'm sure there's people that just want a new owner. So if there's somebody working in the background, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, or Mr. whoever, they'll be in his camp or her camp or their camp or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just that it's not this is me talking now. It's not just an Adam Shaw camp. It's anybody else camp.
Yes.
Than the owner now. So yes. I don't think it's right for people to, like yourself saying about, and you're having a go at him, Adam Shaw, of course, but I don't think everyone is so up behind him. I think it's just anyone else but Chance.
I think you're being optimistic.
He's the only one.
I think there's a load of people. I think there's a load of people out there that are very much in the Adam Shaw camp, because I see tweets all the time saying, "Why is everybody so against Adam Shaw?" Because
he's the only option.
Stunts like this tonight. That's why I'm against him.
Yeah, but he's the only visible option. Sorry, not the only option. He's the only visible option. And like I said, we all want to know something. We all want to be part of something. So they're grabbing onto him because he's the only one who's come out and done something. So that's how I think. I think I'm more skeptical about Adam Shaw. I'm like you, but I'm not going to just jump on him. And I feel that everyone's put their weight behind his consortium when there may be other options about.
But look, I'm in a fortunate position, right, where we have this show and we can talk about things like that, and my opinion might get a bit louder than other people. I know that, right, and that's why it's a topic, and this is a forum for people to chat about. That's why we have the comments. Am I being out of order, Beth? Bring some semblance of normality to this while I have a drink.
No,
I'll try my best. I agree with you as well to an extent. I think there is something about this that is uncomfortable with me, and especially I got the exact same feeling, but to a lesser extent, with the John Flanagan interview on BBC Sheffield. Like, he had a list of all the tap-ins. He knew exactly what to say to put a smile on people's faces.
Say the word massive.
Yeah, say the word massive. Give him a new stadium. Cut the ticket prices. Give him some good players. Say Premier League. So all these
Sleeping
things.
Giant.
Exactly. All those things on BBC Sheffield. I was like, oh, people are loving this, and I'm feeling a bit like you're like love bombing me a bit. You're a bit like over familiar, caught in of these fans. This is that on steroids. I'm just like, what the fuck? And I think even with some of these, miss, which is also a little bit alarming. Like, I think some of these are quite contentious, and maybe he's gone too far now. Hillsborough is going to be a very contentious issue if we ever have to move from there. And some of these kind of things, like, yes, I completely agree. The way Adam Shaw is going about this is not perfect, and it's not the way that I would want someone to go about it. However, he can ring that phone number. He can ring that phone as much as he wants. If the other person's not picking up, what else can he do? Like, I could bell my mum's phone, and if it's dead, or she's blocked me. My mum's not blocked me. She's great.
I can't believe you're comparing your mum to
Ring
Chansiri.
as much as I want, and if your phone's dead or if you've blocked me, you're not going to talk to me. So I'm going to go and tell my mate that you're a bitch. Like,
Yeah, you're right. You're right there, Beth. You are going to get another outlet for your frustrations, and then go and support somebody else, aren't you? With this interview or podcast or whatever.
oh, please leave my mum alone. She's probably watching and she's amazing. She was the first person that came into my head. She always picks up my calls.
Okay. Stevie, have you got anything to add to the hot topic? Because I have spoken a long time now. I've calmed down now.
No, the only thing I would say is that, you know, what we're trying to do here is, through the frustration that has been added tonight, we don't. If Adam Shaw's bid is legit, I think ultimately, and he's got a way of proving that his bid is legit, and we've got 16 people, whatever the number was, that are in a consortium. I don't know how many people are in football consortia, by the way, as a rule, and I know it will differ. Is 16.
Just as a sidebar, though, Stevie, do you not feel that 16 people is far too many people to have an invested interest?
Hence me saying, I don't know if that's a realistic number. It does seem big to me.
I thought it was like 4 or 5.
Do I want 16 people running Sheffield Wednesday? No. If I've got 16 people that have come together to run Sheffield Wednesday with Adam Shaw as a mouthpiece or a focal point, is that a good look from an optics point of view? Who makes the decisions? I don't know. Forgive me. I should probably know how many people are involved at Chelsea. I bet it's not 16. Bournemouth have got a consortium. Yeah, go and have a look for me, Beth, while I'm talking. What is the purpose of having 16? Because to me, it would seem that 16 is a number that we keep going until we've got enough people. 1 + 1 is 2, etc., etc. I get 16 people that have got enough money to on paper, buy Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. I just don't think it's realistic. I would love to be wrong. I'd love for everybody on the internet to come out and call you a pig to a dog, Dan, and say that we're all idiots because what we're talking is absolute nonsense. And if that be the case, then, I'm not going to do a Gary Lineker will podcast in our underwear or anything like that. But what we will do is we will happily eat humble pie.
I think 16 in a consortium is more than what actually work at the club now, I think, isn't there? So
that's more registered players than we've got.
Yeah, it'd be. I think John's on. He says large consortiums are no different to having shareholders. You have to have the right people in place to run the club with the aim to create a return for the shareholders. So yeah, because I'm sure that they would employ people to be CFO, CEO, or whatever.
It's not the run of the club that concerns me the most. It's the fact that 16 people, let's just call a spade here. Let's say you need 100 million pounds, right? Let's say that's how much you need, just figures. And you all have a 16th of 100 million pounds, and that's the money that puts in. I don't want that. I don't want people who have the 16th the right amount of money, or are only willing to put up a 16th of the right amount of money. I want the people with enough money to carry us through. Because last week I used the example of raising money for the rec centre before it got closed down. What about in a year's time when we need more money? When the other the details that are getting released aren't enough for me for longevity, if that makes sense. But listen.
So give us more. Give us more information.
Give me money now. That was tonight's hot topic. I feel like we've got our social media clip for tomorrow, Ash. I feel like we've got that. Right, let's talk about any other business. The Club World Cup is underway. Who had FC Auckland? Auckland City, who had them? They got smashed 10-0 by Bayern Munich. So your trip to New Zealand might be off, Ashley. Stay with us on that one. We'll give you an update on the socials about about who's in it when we get to the next round. Chris Waddle played 65 minutes in a Worksop Legends game, which is the same amount of years he's been on this planet. So there's fair play to Chris Waddle. Has he still got it, Stevie? Has he still got it?
You never lose it.
You know.
Pace is a little slower. Played with him for a period of time.
I'd argue he never had the pace, mate.
Mate, honestly, I've said this, and no shade. I once played Tadcaster Albion. He played centre half next to me, and he literally went, "Move there, stand there, don't move yet, not yet, now go." It was the easiest 90 minutes I've ever had in my life. We won 4-0. I don't think I broke sweat, and I just listened to him. He was absolutely quality.
What's that? J-Bo said Salford have 9 consortiums members. Has David Beckham not just bought that with one other person, like recently, the last 2 weeks, or have I got that wrong?
That has changed recently. I'm not finding very many easy answers on here. That's my homework. I'll let you know next week.
Yeah, it just seems weird. And don't forget, this Thursday we're going to be releasing the interview with Amy Broomhead. Stevie Speakeasy's been on. He's got something going on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we promoted his bench walk a while back for unexpected reasons. We've had to postpone it, but that is going out again on the 27th of July, I think. It's a Sunday, and we're going to be walking, myself, Cy, Speakeasy, Jay, who's in the comments, will be coming along, and Stu, Lens Go Stu, who does all the inside match day stuff. We've got together. One of the lads, I think his name's Sean, forgive me, Sean, if I've got that wrong, has also joined on. We're going to be walking from Derby to Hillsborough in a day. It's about 41 miles. Keep an eye on our socials, keep an eye on the Speakeasy socials as well. We are going to be sort of pushing it. You don't have to do the full 41 miles, but it's all for very just causes that I'm going to be sitting down with Simon tomorrow to have a chat with or about, and then we'll be sharing that on our socials later this week, just to sort of try and drum up a little bit of publicity for what is a phenomenal cause. If you want to get involved, if you can get involved, by all means, have a look at what's going on and drop on.
I agree. I really like him. He's a top guy as well. Beth, thank you for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being our media host as well, and giving us the headlines from the latest propaganda to come out between the Just for Men lips. Ash, am I seeing you soon? I can't remember. Have we got anything in the book?
Oh, yeah, we're going to the Open Air 90s Disco in Sheffield in a few weeks.
That's right. And also next week as well, Stevie and Ash are going to be working on a very special project, which you've actually got to buy some kit for as well. So stay tuned for that when we announce that. You guys have been absolutely outstanding this evening. Thank you so much for getting involved and being a bit measured. Thank you, Beth, for giving me school on the history of Clive Betts. I'm going to go and have a lie down because I think I've done a blood vessel. So if you see me tomorrow with capillaries burst all around my eyes, I'll grow a ridiculous beard if I could. That's all the same colour. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.